Ever notice how you can gain a couple pounds and not realize it? Generally, you know if you lost weight because you worked at it. But you can gain a couple pounds, not realize it. You could spend a little more than you realized you had spent. Right? If you're not keeping track of everything that goes in the cart, you end up at the cash register and go, I didn't think I was spending that much. We can drift and not even know that we've drifted. It's Israel wanting to be like their neighbors. What's the big deal? And suddenly they've chosen their own king and they've taken other gods. It's David staying home when kings went out to war. I've already defeated everybody. My kingdom is the greatest kingdom on earth. Why can't I take this war season off? And before he realizes that he's committing adultery and murder. It's Solomon taking wives that worshiped other gods because they turn into treaties with other kingdoms. And it's making us greater as a nation, but it's hardening your heart. It's Martha being worried about so many other things that she doesn't even realize that the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords is sitting in her house sharing his heart, but the dinner's got to get made. It's Demas loving the world, and before he knows it, he's gone. It's Peter getting caught up in the religious and cultural divisions between the Jews and the Gentiles after Jesus had torn that down, but even after Peter had been the one God used to start the tearing it down. How is it that Peter could go to Cornelius' house on a vision from God, and then years later, when he's there with the church, when Jews come, decide I better not eat with the Gentiles? We drift. We drift and we don't even know it. And we don't even realize that that's what's happening. And even when we do it, we need someone else to call us out on it, or else we'll say, what's wrong with this? Somebody has to point it out, right? Even John bowing down twice to angels in the book of Revelation. Bowing down to worship twice, where they both times had to say, don't do that, worship God. If they can drift, I guarantee you and I, we have some drift in our lives. See, it's the reality that if we don't actively cling to the words of Jesus because he is the Son of God, we will drift toward other voices because those voices seem to soothe and excite our hearts the way we want them to be soothed and excited. And so I have to ask again, who are we listening to? Because where we set our ears will determine who has control of our hearts. We must pay much closer attention to Jesus because he is the Son of God, because we understand who he is. Does he say hard things? Yes. Does he say things that seem to mess up what I thought? Yes. Does he say things that offend other people? Yes. Does he say things I don't want to hear? Yes. But he is the Son of God. And because of that, his voice deserves to be listened to even when everything he says offends me, upsets, or even disappoints me. We must pay much closer attention to Jesus.